right? So let's start with Moniepoint. Moniepoint, like I said, they're becoming one of the biggest fintechs, like slowly, not slowly, like quickly becoming one of the biggest fintechs in Nigeria today. And one of the reasons why I say that is because they've actually doubled their workforce, right? And it's interesting that they did that because this is coming at a time where we've seen a lot of layoffs. Companies are scaling down. Even some fintechs are now saying they're not even doing fintech again. They want to become edtech, right?
You want to name them?
All right. I'm sorry, but I'm sure most people know who I'm talking about. All right. So I think so. If they're doing something like that, I think the one question that will be on most people's mind is, Chingozim, why exactly are they doubling workforce at a time where everyone is scaling down?
Okay, so first is that they have money to pay.
Nice.
So if you don't have money, you won't double your employee count. But the major reason is that they launched a lot of new products in 2023. So for example, we saw them launch a personal banking service, and it's kind of different from when you're just doing business banking. You could have maybe a handful of people who are working in support for business banking.
True.
Or when we are talking personal banking, if I have a little problem, I want to get a response in less than 5 minutes.
True.
So you need a lot more people to do it, and that was one. According to them, one of the departments that had the most growth was customer support. So that was one. They also had serious growth in technology or engineering. That's kind of natural because you sort of need to boost your systems and ensure that you have as few downtimes as possible. So yeah, that's will I say the major reason why they had to boost their employee count in such a short time.
Interesting.
Thank you very much, Tingozirim. So my next question now would be how they are growing so big so quickly. And Emmanuel, I'll direct that question at you, right? How are they doing it? Because I know they actually started by building out fintech or financial infrastructures before now moving into actually providing customers, building technology that actually is directed directly at the customer. So how have they been able to scale so fast?
But I will say first, we'll give kudos to the team at Moniepoint for what they're doing. Looking how they moved from B2B solutions to B2C, they were providing solutions for banks, and now they are targeting individual customers. So I don't think it should per se be a surprise to the team generally, but also looking at, I think the events over the last couple of years, looking at COVID-19 that led to the adoption of technology and fintech payments. Banks were closed, so people had to find alternative measures. Then also looking at, I think for last year, looking at the cash redesign policy of the CBN in 2022, I think that also influenced the adoption of their products by individual consumers in Nigeria. For 2022, they had about $100 million billion dollars in transaction. It increased to 150 in 2023. So I think it is one, kudos to the team for their strategic approach to the market, because it's highly competitive. Then also looking at the policies of governments and the change in consumer attitude and behavior, and they're being positioned with a fantastic product to take advantage of that. So I don't think the growth is a surprise. Per se. And again, looking at their expansion also into new markets, looking at the acquisition in Kenya, I think Kopo in Kenya. So that basically shows that they can do more. And as Chimgonziri earlier mentioned, with regards to them expanding their team, doubling the size of them, I think they will still even look at hiring more in the coming years. So it's a good one.
I mean, the future is looking really bright for Moniepoint. But now let's try and make some predictions, right? We've seen what they did in 2022. We have an idea of how well they did in 2023. So, Chimgozim, what do those those things we've learned about them over the years, what can it inform in 2024?
Okay, so full disclaimer, I'm not saying what will happen, just saying what could happen.
What
So,
would happen?
If it doesn't happen, do not ask me what happened. So I'm not making predictions.
All right.
But one thing I can infer from some of their moves, especially with the hiring of an M&A, let's say someone to head the M&A division would be maybe international expansion. So like you mentioned, they've already started making moves in Kenya. We don't know if there would be a few more African countries over the next few years. But yeah, we can expect to see international expansion, and it's interesting that it's coming at this point. If you followed Moniepoint story, they spent quite some time between 2020, 2021, and I think even in 2022 talking about international expansion. And one of my questions was always, when would this happen? So it looks like this is finally happening. Something else would be, and this is, I think they've gone around to almost all. They've gone to payments. They've gone into personal banking. They've done business banking. So I'm just wondering what's next. Are they going to get into insurance next? I don't know. Are they going to get into insurance? Because I mean, they have the base for it. So it may just be a service that they do alongside someone. So yeah, acquisition in Kenya is a banking, or it's kind of in the same line with what they've been doing. Could they decide to make an acquisition that's kind of different, leverage someone's experience, and then build new products? So I think it would be expansion and probably different products, different verticals, still under fintech or finance, depending on how you want. How you want to call it.
I mean the insurance side of things will be very interesting. I would like to see how they plan to do that.
I mean, yes, because I want to see them use the same playbook for expanding access to mobile money, to mobile money share, but agency banking, using that same playbook. I just want to see how it will play out for the insurance space. So let's see if that ever happens.
Yeah, let's see. Time will tell. All right. But my final question about this whole Moniepoint growth and the moves they are making, being what can other fintechs learn? And this question is important because when I started, I said they are doing all this at a time when we're saying, okay, let's do small. let's scale back, right? So what can fintechs or even startups generally learn from what Moniepoint has been doing? Emmanuel?
Okay, I think primarily it's strategy and understanding your market. I think Moniepoint, they did their own work. So it means that they have a lot of domain knowledge on how Africans behave and how they use these products, and they've done so well so far. So one thing is understanding the market. Fintechs have to, before you go out there, it means you have to get experts, like Chimgozeri mentioned. He said they got an expert to head their NMA department. So why not get people who already have experience in the space to head certain teams? So when you are looking at, let's say, sales or marketing or other departments in the firm. So that's one thing other fintechs can learn. And also the courage, I think, to move, not slowing down, executing as fast as it's coming. Because I'm sure if you look in-house at Moniepoint, they do a little trial and error. They would have launched something, and if it doesn't do what, they would have scaled back. So that's what we have with teams like that. So I think that's another thing they can look out of. And also relationship with regulators, also, especially when you are playing in a regulated space.
Yes.
Good thing is that Moniepoint, they have all their licenses in Nigeria. And if you also look at the acquisition in Kenya, Moniepoint didn't even announce themselves. Myself and Chinwoji were discussing that it was the regulator in Kenya that did the announcement. So it means that they have a fantastic relationship with the regulator. So yeah, so I think those are some of the things they can get from their playbook.
Yeah, interesting. I mean, wishing Moniepoint all the best.
To listen to the full episode of this podcast, visit podcast.techpoint.africa or search for Techpoint Africa Podcast on your favorite podcast platforms.